Now I just want to look at some of the comparisons. I'm going to move in a little bit closer. You're pretty good right there. I've got her about 4 feet away from the light, and she's just going to do a couple little fun poses. Going to go for something a little more on the high key. Now I'm going to put us at f4 at 1/25 of a second. I'm at ISO 100. Now I should have mentioned I also put an ND filter on this. I have a 0.9 Tiffin neutral density just to darken it up so that I didn't have to crank my aperture way down small in order to darken the background, okay? So I'm darkening the background using that neutral density filter a bit more so I can keep a shallow depth of field, a fairly low aperture, then we're filling in the foreground with the strobe. Okay, right here, girl. Lift that head up just a little bit. Give me a couple poses. Look this way, a little smile. Don't overdo it, just relax it just a little bit. Look up at that light there. Good. Now, but I want your face a little more this way. Turn your body to me this way a little bit. Okay, now just relax it. I want you to be real relaxed, okay? Okay, right there. Look toward the light, but don't lift your chin. Eyes toward me, right here. Little smile. Bring that flower up a little. Good, right there. Now eyes up toward that light. Let's get some nice light in your eyes. Right there. Okay, head up just a little bit. Not quite so much. Relax your shoulders. Turn your head a little bit towards me, but not a lot. Okay, so now I've changed it up a little. I moved my light stand, which is my truck, forward a little, adjusted the light, brought it down a little bit lower. Now what we're dealing with now, it's only a few minutes later, but the clouds are coming in. And so now we've got a situation where instead of harsh light, everything's getting real flat and gray. At this point, we're using the lights to not only illuminate and key the background like before, but also to give some dimension to the subject. So at this point, I'm still placing the background down around zone 5, down in the sand behind her, got the waves coming in, a little bit of clouds back there. But I've brought the light down, a little bit different angle to her so we can get some better catch lights. I was noticing some of the other shots, I didn't have my catch light quite where it should have been in the eyes. I want light reflecting in her eyes to give those catch lights, to give that depth and life to the eyes, because real catch lights are way better than painting them in later. Do it right in camera. Now what we have here is we're just gonna have some fun with this. Quite a bit of strobe light coming on. Give me some silly expressions, Anna. We'll wait till the speeding motorcycles go by. Okay, so now we got this huge flat, really flat gray softbox around the area. Nice. And we could take some fairly decent portraits with that of its own, just using that light, right? We got a fairly nice portrait light and we could do some pretty stuff. By bringing in the lights now, I'm still keying that background. I've still got that sand down around zone 5. Okay, give me some nice poses with those flowers, Anna. Okay, stand straight up a little bit. Good. Getting some nice catch lights in her eyes. Now I want you to lift your head a little bit, not too high. There you go. Now relax your shoulders. Relax your shoulders right there. And good. Very nice. Give me a couple little poses though. Have some fun with those poses, but stay fairly close. Good girl. Okay, so we're getting lots of fun ones. Now, of course, as we change, she goes down, her perspective to the light changes. So the light's kind of raking over the top now, gives it a little bit of a harder look than if she's standing direct into it. We can do anything we want with lights. We can move them, we can bounce them, we can swing them around, we can use one light, we can bounce it off a rock and make that our softbox. And we're gonna talk about more of that in the future going forward. But here we've changed up a little bit more. I've taken it off the stand. I got this big heavy light. I just set it right on the tailgate of the truck, right? And now, without having to set up a stand or move it, I've got this huge soft light in relationship to her because I've got that umbrella really close. So go ahead and get down there, get yourself comfy, Anna. And we're just gonna do this again. That background is down dark. Now we're down about zone 5 to 6 on the waves and the sky in the background. And we're gonna add a stop or two of light to her, giving a nice soft light. I'm gonna move back just a touch. We're gonna show just a little bit of sky, a little bit of waves, and she's gonna be right down there. Okay, work with your pose a little bit. Try looking at that light, Anna, nice and right there. Now back toward me just a little bit. Right there, hold it. Good. You can drop those flowers down, just right there. Look this way, good, perfect. And we're good, I think. Okay, everybody did a good job with Anna, Cyrus behind the camera.
All right, so that was fun. Great session. We've seen a few of the images, seen just a touch of post-processing on those maybe, but mostly we've just looked at out of the camera work, right? And we've changed some approaches kind of throughout the shoot, done some different lighting, some different locations in terms of where the light's coming from on Anna. Let's jump into Lightroom now, and let's talk a little bit about what we've got and look a little bit at post-processing. Now, we started back here, okay? And so we started with kind of keying for that background and putting that background down around the zone 5 range, really, and keeping her face right up here. A little bit of catch lights in the eyes, nice images up in the zone 6 to 7 range on the flesh tones, okay? And so we can go through these and kind of, do some ratings and pick out some favorites. Now, this isn't really a workflow session, so rather than go through and sort all these, I'm going to kind of flip through so you can see the course of the session here. And you can see how we started out kind of with these first ones that we saw in part 1, going through, and then our light kind of started to change a little bit. We got a little bit more light in the background. We lightened it up a little bit. Now, is one right or wrong? No, not necessarily. You'll see how when we were darkening the background more, when we had that strong overcast, and then we put a lot of light in the foreground, we definitely got more of a strobe feel because we had more light just pouring down onto her face, really separating her from the background. As we come up here, we're getting into a little bit more of, maybe you could call it a high-key beach look, right? You're seeing a nice soft background, but it's brighter. Now it's up around zone 6, and her face is 6 to 7. But again, we're balancing that out. We're keeping her face really nice without losing the detail. And down at the end, I changed kind of my perspective and direction. We started bringing the light down and darkening that background down once again, which I really like the look of. And one of the things, I changed the light towards the end because I felt like I wasn't getting enough catch lights in her eyes on some of these. It's not bad, but you notice here that we have kind of catch light on one side and a very weak catch light on the other side. And so I wanted to bring that light down as we went forward and bring those catch lights. Now, we have a very nice, clean image here, lots of resolution. A few of these where there's movement, we notice there's a little bit of motion blur. And so I wasn't on a tripod the whole time because I kind of wanted that free range of motion. I wanted to be able to move around for this kind of a shoot because she was dancing and she was playing, and I wanted to be able to engage with that. And we go all the way down to the end where we had a low perspective, and we ended up at the end, as you saw there, kind of coming down and bringing the light closer, bringing that light in, and just getting some really nice light, really cutting off the background almost entirely, but just bringing the light up close. So remember, the larger our light source relative to the subject, the softer it's going to come off. And so as that light came closer, we got a little bit more of a soft, glamorous look. You can see a couple of these we actually had a little bit of light spill on, which typically is not a good thing. I mean, that's actually an error on my part, and yet it does bring in an element of softness into some of the images. So it's more about, we went through this whole range, and you want to know what your light's doing. You want to know how to use your strobes, how to be comfortable with what you're doing with your strobe. And some of these images just really came out beautifully. I mean, we got verticals, we got horizontals. A lot of what I didn't want to do a lot of split lighting, and you'll see a lot of this kind of a little bit of Rembrandt style lighting with a little triangle under the eye here. Pretty classic, simple lighting here is what I was focusing on because we're outdoor. I really wanted us to think about using the environmental light mixed with the other light. Now, this one's a little weak. See, we're lacking the catch lights a little bit in this one. And then some of these other ones, especially when we got low and close with the umbrella, really nice catch lights in those eyes, and not a strong ratio. We weren't going for that strong split light or anything like that. Just a nice spill across the face. Little bit, let's pick myself apart a little bit here. On this one, I really like this shot, but I'm seeing a little bit of whites of her eyes. This might have been a bit stronger if we just had her head tilted a little bit so that there wasn't so much white of the eyes. Doesn't mean it's not a good portrait, but if I was in competition, I might get picked apart for something like this. Now this one, you see how the eyes are a little more balanced and centered. Again, very, very nice either way, but the ones where she's a little more straight on, they feel a bit more ordinary in one sense, but they just give a beautiful natural look. Now, I can pose a little girl like this straight on. If you had somebody that was a little heavier or something like that and you were trying to do slimming, then you want to be careful with posing straight on with all this light coming on. You want to use people's body shape along with their lighting, especially in the women, but really with everybody, to accent the positives. There's my assistant helper there. I've brought some shadows in, recovered some highlights, a little bit of vibrance and saturation, a little bit of curve, a little bit of bringing up the yellows in the saturation, the luminance. Again, we can bring up the reds if we want to kind of boost her face up a little bit, right? But we don't want to go too much. And that's kind of what I've done here is I brought out the reds a little bit. And I love just playing with color channels on a portrait because that brings in subtleties, darkening the blues, lightening the blues. And honestly, I'm pretty balanced right here. And you can kind of see what I've done. Here's my luminance, here's my saturation, and very, very little to the hues because our color here is really beautiful coming out of camera. I have to say this is probably my favorite image here. Or this. This one is better, I think, just because of the way her eyes are. And her mouth a little bit. Now we have a little bit of light spill coming in here, and I could fix this, excuse me, I could fix this a little bit by just going a little gradient here and bringing up the clarity a little bit. And I could also do a little dehaze right here. And you can see I can kind of get rid of that with a little dehaze. I don't mind a little bit of that, though. What I'm actually going to do is use the dehaze to dial that back a little bit, but not too much. This is not a super contrasty image. Interestingly enough, this is almost a split light, but because we have environmental light, because we have the ambient light, there's a little bit of light spilling across. We have a nice shadow, and to me, it really is dramatic. I just like the feel of this one, even though there's no ocean in the background to speak of. It just feels strong to me. And what I'm going to do in Photoshop is I'm going to finish it for printing as a portrait. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it because most of our emphasis in this shoot was getting it right in camera, which I think we did pretty good at. And I think we analyzed some of the different approaches to using light in the wild. I could sit here and praise myself and say I did everything perfectly, but I didn't. And that's okay because we were looking at this shoot from the perspective of what different approaches can we take? What would we actually do if we're under pressure in the field and we need to make light happen simply? And I'm just going to do some actions. It doesn't really matter so much what you're using. You could take this and you could make a copy and then you could do an overlay mode and fade it and blur it a little bit and kind of soften up your image. But I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to try a couple different things. I'm not totally digging that one, so I'm going to try a different one. I don't want a very serious high action, okay? So what I'm actually going to do is maybe do a couple overlays. Let's do the movable sunlight, which is basically just making a slight overlay of light. And so we're just going to kind of retouch this a little bit. Instead of that kind of blue light coming in on the left, I'm going to add that warmth. So that little bit of light flare on the left is actually a warm light. Again, very subtle, right? And I'm going to bring that in. So we have warm light coming from the left, okay? Now, we're going to go to, let's throw a foliage enhancer on there. Basically, when I come in to retouch an image, I'm looking for, not digging that one, looking for maybe a little bit of glow with a portrait, maybe a little bit of enhancement, and then a lot of what I'm doing is diminishing supporting cast, meaning I'm darkening things up, right? And let's do this one. This is good, but I'm actually going to take the mask, and I'm going to mask it out heavily around her with lots of feather. So it's darkening. What are we getting here? We're darkening the other edges down just a little bit, but I don't want to do too much on this because I want that light kind of coming in on the side, okay? And so I could play around with this. Let's do the alchemy eyes, and let's make her eyes really pop, which again is effectively a sharpening action. I would spend an hour if I went through every one of these effects manually, and that's not what we're here for today. That's for another time. But we'll bring up alchemy eyes, and we will come in close. Make that brush way, way smaller. And just bring some nice sharp pop into her eyes, especially in the centers. What I'm going to actually do now is take a top layer, which is basically a combined layer of all this. And I have a quick action for that in the Alchemist set. And let's go do some manual adjustments now. And what I mean by that in particular, one of my main things that I'll do in Photoshop is just a little burn and dodge. Okay, so I'm going to start burning some midtones here. This is where we really get into bringing out the elements of an image. So I'm burning down, and I'm also going to burn some shadows. I really want to darken down areas that are non-critical. Turn this down to about 14%. That's good right there. Nope, still a little too much. Let's dial it back a little bit more. And I want to darken the supporting cast, the surrounding elements of the image. Kind of maintaining a contrast, but at the same time diminishing them. And you see what's happening. As I darken the shadows back here, her hair, which has light on it, is being separated more and more. And so it's helping us bring that 3-dimension in. Let's go to midtones. And I got a little bit too much light on here on the forehead, right? So I'm just going to dial this back so we have a little more detail on her here. And I can actually use the same principles with saturation and desaturation. So I'm going to saturate along here a little bit and bring a little more color into the beads. A little bit on the eyes, the lips. And you can see we're really getting a dimensional feel to this now. And I can continue darkening and basically making this side progressively darker so it kind of fades away. Not black dark, but just dark down around zone 3, zone 4, and right there. So we just really have that richness, a little bit more darkening in the shadows, but we won't get carried away with that. And if I'm darkening shadows or highlights, I usually turn it down quite a bit. Now, let's go to pixel painting and wrap this up, and we'll have a beautiful image. Pixel painting is where I take a brush, usually soft, at a fairly low opacity level. Okay, so I'm going to do soft brush, but I'm going to put it at like 10%, 15%, 12%, something like that. I've got it on another layer here. What I will do is I'll sample a color. So I'll sample the greens. And some of these actions I did kind of do this, but I'll come in and I'll do this manually as well. So I'll take a dark green, let's say, and then I'll paint that over. Rather than just burning and dodging, you know, we got a lot of brownness in this grass. So I can paint a little bit of green over this, and it'll bring a softness to it. It'll actually dull it a little bit, while at the same time bringing a smoothness to the color of it. So we don't have weirdness going on there. And let's actually go here. And what I'll do is I'll take the little imperfections we might get in lighting sometimes, and just, you know, kind of reminiscent of the old airbrushing back from the darkroom days, and just cleaning up a little bit here, right? I want to soften the little bit of bags under her eyes there, a little dark shadows rather, maybe not bags. This is my daughter we're talking about here. And I'll just gently paint in. You don't want to overdo it. I don't want to take the detail out of her skin or anything like that. I just want to soften blemishes. And so we could certainly use an action, and we could smooth her skin, things like that. But her skin is very nice. So really I'm just evening out a little bit. And you can see how I keep option clicking and just sampling. This is something we go into at length in my retouching workshop. But what it's doing is we're just softening details in certain areas. I can do it with the leaves of the flowers a little bit, but then I can bring some yellow, you know, and so it's almost like I'm making these flowers feel a little bit softer and a little bit bigger at the same time. I can also do the same thing around the eyes, where I'll use a smaller one, and I can just kind of help accent the lines and the shadows in the eyes a little bit, and just kind of make them stand out a little bit more. Okay? Because we want those eyes to really pop. And you can actually see our umbrella right here in the corner. Very, very high key on this side, but still a lot of light coming here, because we had light coming from all directions here. Now, if our strobe had been the only light, this would be a very strong split light with a little bit of light spilling over probably under this eye. But because we have the nice environmental light that we're mixing in, it's a very nice combination. Here's our file out of Lightroom, looking good. Here's our finished file, looking really good. Just a really soft, nice image. Then usually I'll come back and I'll say, oh, I missed something. So I'll pop back over here. I actually think this eye is looking a little bit too hazy. And again, coming back to our spillover of that light, I have lots of images in here without the spillover, but I just really liked the way this one felt. So I'm just going to bring back a little more contrast to this side of her face by burning down the shadows a little bit. So essentially I'm just bringing back the contrast that haze is affecting, just like that. And now her eye has that punch that I want to, getting rid of that flat feel. That's going to take a moment to appear over in Lightroom because it has to save this large file. We're working in 16-bit right now, which of course makes this a little bit slower. But I think this is a beautiful portrait. I think this whole session's beautiful, and I could go through and spend hours and we could edit and pick and choose. But the main thing is that we got out here, we blended the light, environmental with artificial. We used some different directions, we used some different patterns, and we got a whole plethora of images. This image I really love. I might spend a little more time editing it and just working the details of the grass and things like that a little bit more. Photoshop's still saving, so we'll see that eye refresh in a moment with the contrast that I fixed up on the side of her face. And again, let's look at out of camera and finished. And see, now we're barely noticing that spillover. It just makes a little bit of a softness on this side, whereas before there was clearly this light spill coming in. Watch the head intersections. Her head on this one is right close to the edge of the lines. And you can see the grass line cuts through her head, which even though it's blurry, it's not bad. It is a little bit of a distraction. One of the reasons I like these lower ones is because her head is well down in the grass, and we didn't get that with the higher ones. Although I don't see a lot of distraction on this because her head on this top left one is well up into the sky. But this one keeps growing on me. I may have to put this one on the wall. I'm just really loving this one. It has so much personality, not a cheesy smile, a little bit of a serious look, maybe too serious for some people, but I like it.
Lots of different variations today. We started with harsh light, we went to softer light, we went to super overcast light. You never know what it's going to do when you're out in the field, and that's one of the beauties of being comfortable working with artificial light out in the field, because you can just add that in. We're using additive light with the environmental light. We're keying the background elements where we want them, and then we're filling in with that flash, using that visualization in our mind, and watching for the little things. A lot of it when you're using artificial light is you got to think in terms of the fact that you've put your own little sun there, and where is it, right? You can move it, and it's smaller than the real sun, so you got to think, okay, how's that light going to spill? Is it going to put catch lights in the subject's eyes? Things like that. Look for those little details, how harsh it is, how large the light source is in relationship to the subject, and getting rid of those mosquitoes that keep trying to bite you along the way. Hope you guys got something out of this first part of a series in getting more into lighting. We're going to do more with this if you enjoy it, and get those strobes out and have some fun. Bye. Wait a minute, is it still rolling?